German Shepherd wouldn't stop growling at the garage. When Rachel finally investigated and spotted the shadow moving behind the window, her heart stopped. A quiet Sunday afternoon was about to transform into a single mother's most terrifying experience. She had ignored Rex's alerts, dismissed the snarling as nothing more than overprotective behavior. Her 18-month-old daughter kept gesturing, attempting to communicate something was wrong, but she didn't pay attention until she witnessed movement where there should be none. What Rex uncovered lurking on their property was so alarming. It became the talk of the entire community. The fresh start. Rachel had only relocated to the peaceful residential area 4 months ago. The property felt like a new beginning after the separation, a location where she and Sophie could create something better. The residents seemed welcoming enough, greeting from their yards, mentioning something about recent thefts, but reassuring her their block was protected. She'd brought Rex home from the regional animal shelter 3 weeks after settling in, believing a dog would provide Sophie with a companion and offer her some security as a single parent. That Sunday afternoon began like any typical day. Sunshine flooded through the living room windows, brilliant and comforting. Sophie sat on her activity mat near the sliding glass doors, arranging soft toys, while Rex rested beside her, always the vigilant protector. Rachel hummed softly as she organized laundry, thankful for these uncomplicated moments of tranquility. "Just a little longer, sweetie," she called to Sophie, folding towels. "Mommy's almost finished." But then Rex's head jerked upward. His ears became alert, his body stiff. A deep, continuous growl emerged from his throat. So, unlike his usual calm temperament, Rachel glanced over. "Rex, what's the matter, boy?" Sophie stopped playing, her tiny hand extended toward the glass, pointing. "Mama." "What is it, baby?" Rachel put down the laundry and approached, looking through the doors. The backyard appeared completely ordinary. Afternoon sunlight illuminated the patio. The detached garage stood silent at the property's edge. Butterflies danced near the flower bed. Nothing unusual, nothing menacing. "Probably just a cat," she murmured, patting Rex's head. "You're such a good guard dog, aren't you?" But Rex didn't settle. His growl intensified, and he positioned himself in front of Sophie, as if forming a shield between the baby and whatever existed outside. "Rex, that's enough." Rachel's voice carried a hint of irritation. Single parenthood meant every second mattered, and she didn't have patience for false warnings. "It's nothing. Come on, let me finish this." She returned to folding, working with more force than necessary. Behind her, Sophie continued patting the glass, babbling insistently. Rex's growl transformed into sharp, persistent barks. "Rex, I said that's enough," Olivia snapped, her composure fraying. The pressure of recent months, the isolation, the constant anxiety about finances and safety it all simmered beneath the surface. "Stop being so dramatic." But Rex wasn't dramatic. Something crucial was unfolding, and no one had noticed yet. The warning ignored. The barking escalated. Rex charged toward the sliding door, his claws scratching urgently at the glass. He looked back at Rachel, then at Sophie, then at the door again. His message was obvious, urgent, frantic. "What is your problem?" Rachel marched over, her hands on her hips. For one awful moment, she considered confining Rex to the bedroom. He'd been such a peaceful dog until now. Maybe adopting him had been an error. Maybe she couldn't manage an infant and a dog simultaneously. But then Sophie started wailing. Not her typical fussy cry, but a terrified scream that made Rachel's chest tighten. All right. She lifted Sophie into her arms, the small body quivering against her chest. "Let's see what has everyone so upset." She moved closer to the glass door, studying the yard carefully. The garage. Something about the garage looked off. The side window. It was open, just slightly. Rachel's breathing stuttered. She had secured that garage yesterday evening. She remembered verifying it, her hand testing the lock, ensuring everything was protected before nightfall. It had become a habit. In this new neighborhood, where thefts were whispered about at the community center, time seemed to stop when she saw it. A figure, dark, unmistakable, undeniably human, moved past the window from inside. Her world shattered in an instant. "Oh God," the whisper barely formed. Sophie felt impossibly heavy in her arms, or maybe her legs had turned to liquid. "Oh God, There's someone in there. Rex's barking reached a deafening level. He slammed his body against the glass door. Every muscle in his frame committed to one objective: reaching that garage, protecting his family, eliminating the danger. The intruder revealed. The garage's side door suddenly opened. A man, perhaps mid-20s, wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. He carried a backpack over his shoulder, obviously stuffed with items. Olivia recognized as her belongings the power tools her father had given her, the bicycle she'd just purchased for exercise. When the intruder spotted Rex's frantic barking and Rachel's face in the window, his expression changed to panic. For one suspended moment, they locked eyes across the expanse of lawn. Then he ran. He sprinted toward the fence line, dropping a screwdriver that clattered on the concrete driveway. Rex exploded into pure protective fury, his instincts overwhelming everything else. "Rex, stay!" Rachel screamed, but her voice shook so violently the command emerged, broken. Her hands trembled as she grabbed her phone, nearly dropping it 3 times before managing to dial 911. "What's your emergency?" "There's an intruder on my property. A man. He was inside my garage. He's climbing my fence right now. Please. I have a baby. Please. Send someone immediately." The dispatcher's voice remained composed, requesting her address, asking if the intruder was still visible, asking if she was secure inside. Rachel provided answers while watching the man struggle over the wooden fence, his backpack catching on the pickets. Rex's barking never ceased. Not for a single instant. "Officers are 3 minutes away, ma'am. Stay inside. Secure all entrances. Do not confront the intruder." 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. Rachel collapsed to the floor, her back against the wall. Sophie clutched to her chest. Rex finally stopped barking and came to them, pressing his solid warmth against her side. Still vigilant, still guarding. "I'm sorry," Rachel whispered into his fur, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry. You understood. You tried to warn me." The realization struck like a physical impact. She had almost silenced him, almost confined him, almost dismissed the very instincts that had just protected them. The aftermath. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Red and blue lights strobed through the front windows. Within minutes, 4 police vehicles surrounded the house. Officers spread out, searching the property, photographing the screwdriver, inspecting the garage. A male officer with a kind demeanor came to the door. "Ma'am, I'm Officer Chen. You and your daughter are safe now. May I come in?" Rachel nodded, unable to form words. Officer Chen crouched beside Rex, extending his hand for him to sniff. "This your dog?" he asked. "Yes, Rex. I adopted him a few weeks ago. He's a hero." Officer Chen scratched Rex's ears, and his tail wagged, despite the tension still coursing through his body. "His barking definitely alerted you in time and likely scared off the intruder before things got worse. We found the screwdriver and some fresh tool marks on your garage lock. This matches a pattern of daytime burglaries we've been investigating. The suspect targets homes during afternoon hours, when residents are home but distracted. You did everything correctly by calling immediately." Another officer appeared at the door. "Chen. We apprehended him 3 blocks over, attempting to hide behind a dumpster. Backpack full of stolen goods." Officer Chen smiled at Rachel. "That's great news. We'll need you to come to the station later to identify your property, provide a complete statement. But the immediate threat has been eliminated." After the officers departed, after the property had been cleared and photographed, after the garage had been secured with a new reinforced lock, Rachel sat on the floor with Sophie and Rex. The laundry basket had been forgotten in the hallway. She buried her face in Rex's neck, her shoulders shaking with delayed shock and overwhelming gratitude. "You saw him," she whispered. "When I couldn't, knew something was dangerous. When I thought everything was fine." Her voice cracked. "I almost didn't believe you. I almost locked you away because I thought you were being dramatic." Rex licked her cheek, gentle and forgiving. Sophie reached for the dog's ears, giggling now that the scary person was gone and Mommy had stopped crying. The lesson learned. Over the following weeks, the story circulated through the neighborhood. Rachel became the woman whose dog prevented a burglary, and Rex became a local hero. Neighbors who'd barely acknowledged her before stopped by with treats, for Rex and meals. 4. Rachel, a community newsletter, featured a brief article about home security and trusting your pet's warning signals. But for Rachel, the lesson went deeper than neighborhood recognition or safety advice. She had learned something about trust, about the invisible dangers that surround us, about the protectors we don't always appreciate. She'd looked at Rex's barking and seen irritation instead of alarm. She'd been so consumed by her own stress, her own exhaustion, that she'd nearly silenced the one voice trying to save them. From that day forward, when Rex's ears perked up or his body went tense, Rachel paid attention every single time. The greater truth: sometimes the line between safety and danger is guarded not by locks or cameras, but by instinct we too often ignore. What we dismiss as overreaction often protects us from what we cannot see. The world holds threats that hide in garages and shadows during the bright light of ordinary Sunday afternoons. And sometimes the most profound trust we can offer is to believe in warnings we don't yet understand, in voices that speak without words, in the ancient wisdom of creatures who see what our busy, distracted eyes miss entirely. If this story shook you and reminded you to trust the instincts of those who love you most, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more powerful stories that reveal what matters most. Share it with friends and family who need to hear this message, because sometimes the greatest protection comes from the companions we almost overlook. Please leave a like on this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to The Gentle Bond for more incredible true stories of love, loyalty, and the magic that happens when a pet becomes family.